To the first meeting of August, first order of business as always is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Next order of business will be the approval of our last regular session minutes on July the 15th.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Vote.
Yeah.
Yes. Public comment period. Workshop. Hearing nothing, Worthington Hills.
So we had a meeting with the fireworks company. We got a proposal. It's being looked at by the board of the country club as well as the civic association and the July 4th committee. So we'll be getting back together to figure out what the next step is.
At Conan Robella.
Sign. We ever get back with them on the sign? Yeah.
It's gonna move it about 10 foot back.
It's out of their view of their.
One side.
Thank you. Looking for that word. Thank you.
I don't see it in the line of sight.
Okay, you didn't see it in the line of sight before, I know.
They did.
They did.
Yeah, it's the camera.
Okay, thank you very much for
We will
accommodating.
We have one guest speaker slip filled out for tonight under public comment period from Clayton. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the policy as far as yard signs go. So I've been basically I work in like a 6 mile radius, mostly like Worthington in that area, but Brookside and the hills fall in that. And so like one of the main ways contractors like me get more business is through like the yard signs. I do other stuff too, obviously, I flyers and stuff too, but yard signs is one of the best way because people drive by or they see my sign, they connect it to the work we do.
Are you Clayton Services?
I am. Okay. And I understand it's part of the policy, you're not trespassing and stuff to take the sign out, it's part of the code, I get that, so. I guess what I want to ask is what can we do to change the code, because it's really important to contractors and it's important to the community too, so. It's like when the sign disappears and I pick them up basically every Sunday, we put them up during the week and then I do both on Sundays. And so I pick them up every Sunday, and so if it's not there, I ask them, the customer, and they're like, no, someone took it. And they get a little upset when they found out it was like the township, because they want other people to see the sign, because I'm not a hack, like I do quality work. So it's work that the community wants. It's work that your community wants. And again, the yard signs are a really important way to get that word out. And so I'm just trying to see what can be done to change that, because your community doesn't want it, the contractors don't want it. And I get why you have zoning policies. You don't want a bunch of yard signs in people's yards and those ugly and stuff like that. So I guess that's my question, like what can be done? Because I don't have them up forever. Like I take them down every Sunday. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm here.
What's our code again, Steve?
So our code is that a permit is required for contractor sign.
Per job, right? You have to register each job.
Per job.
Right.
One sign per contractor, per house, per year. Right?
Okay.
So, and the policy for timing on that is the sign can be up as long as work is being done on the property. However, no matter how long work is being done on the property, the maximum amount is 30 days.
Okay, so basically every job I do, so I'll do 15 jobs in a week. The current policy, every job I have to go online, I have to register, right, that address. I usually pay a fee, and last time I checked, it was like 24 hours, like you said, while on the job. So I'm on the job for half a day, right? And so normally, and see, no one else here, no one, Dublin, Worthington, Columbus, none of them have this policy. So I can put a yard sign up and I can leave it up after I leave. And like I said, it's up for the max a week and then I take it down. But it's just a real hassle to have to register every job. Like I said, I have 15, so I do 2 a day usually. So to have to register every job and to only allow it to be up while I'm working, it just doesn't make sense, because I need people to be able to drive by the next day and stuff and see it and stuff like that. So even registering, it's not doesn't help me.
So what's the name of the company?
It's Clayton Services.
It's just Clayton Services. It's not like Clayton Services is parent organization and you have a bunch of different businesses underneath that.
Right, it's just Clayton Services.
He's a local company.
So I expanded to do, I do landscaping, now I do hardscaping and fencing too, but it's all residential. I don't do any commercial. And a lot of so like I said, the area is really, really close. It's within 6 miles of each other. So Brookside and the Hills are two big neighborhoods that I do. So for me, it's just it's a hassle just to have to register just one there. And I like to leave it up for a few days so other people can see it.
Have we had any comments and questions from any other contractors?
We have not, I can show you this pile of signs I have out there.
Oh, I got
And the
that.
reason we have a code is to try to minimize that.
But you love,
Understand.
but you love political signs.
Now, well, political signs is a different rule and a different law.
I'm just saying it's still the arts.
No,
Yeah,
it's
the political
not-
signs can
it's a
go
different
on.
law.
Yeah, let me take that.
Yeah.
Political signs can only go up 30 days before the election. So there's a defined period of time before an election period.
That's still a long time, 30 days, and I can't even do it for 24 hours.
It's a state guideline. I don't know what day I'm
Yeah.
at. It is, if you want the General Assembly to change that, go tell the
I don't.
132
I just-
members down there to change that rule, but.
Yeah.
So that's where we get that at. We didn't come up with the 30 days. It's just-
Yeah, sure.
So,
So it's just a little crazy to me that I can't leave the yard sign up for a few days. I'm a customer that really wants to be able to allow me to advertise to other people.
There's always a way to do that. If the customer wants to be able to advertise, you get a permit for the sign. And the sign can be there while work's being done.
But you said, well, the work's being done, but I'm only there for half a day. So if I was like doing well, I guess it would depend on what I'm doing. But for the landscaping that I currently do, that doesn't help much.
Yeah, that policy is mostly for contractors who are doing remodeling, who are doing major work. And we're leaving signs up for 6 months at a time. So that policy changed to maximize the time allowed to 30 days. So that, so certain contractors wouldn't have signs up for 6 months, that sort of thing.
That makes sense.
So, I think, there's some wiggle room for, you have your sign up for a day or two. If you're on the job half an hour or half a day, your sign's not gonna do you a lot of good. I understand that. And there's some room that we could talk about that. But again, the 30-day period became required because of the abuse of certain contractors. And not just in the Hills and other places. 6 months, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but right now it's not 30 though, right? Even if
It's
you're,
30. It's 30 days.
so if you register it, okay, so are you saying I'm allowed to have it while I'm working right now without a permit? Is that right?
No, you have to have a permit for any sign.
Okay, so I have to literally go online and fill out a permit for every house that I do, just to have it up even while I'm working?
Every contractor who does work in Perry Township has that same responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of extra work that, again, I don't have to do every neighborhood that surrounds you guys, I don't have to do that.
Well, the problem, what we get complaints about, quite honestly, people don't want signs by contractors. I know maybe some of your customers want that, but feedback we got is we got to do something about these signs. They're out of control. And, and I feel, it's tough when you have, I bet you there's probably 50 different yard services that come to the Hills and do somebody's yard once a week. And I bet you there's a big percentage of people that get their yard cut by some service. You'd have a sign up in third of the homes, all summer long if we didn't police this.
Right, but just, sorry to interrupt you, but just drive around the rest of the hill that isn't Perry Township. It's not like that. So Columbus doesn't have that policy. So I'm still super confused where Perry Township is. So I keep putting up signs. But
well, let me assure you, we're not Columbus
yeah,
in many different places.
right. But I'm saying Columbus policy is better than yours because I can put up a yard sign in Columbus and I can get it taken down.
So I would debate with you that there's nothing good in Columbus. It's actually much better in Perry Township, in many different.
Yeah, I mean, I just.
Even though they're my negotiating partner, I understand that.
Yeah.
We didn't come up with this policy. We didn't dream this up and say, one day we'd like to have sign policy.
Yeah.
This is based upon feedback that we received from our residents. that what they were seeing was too many signs and they were up too long. And why is this sign up? And the 6 month is always comes up. Why is this sign up for 6 months? I mean, this is a billboard for a business. You're not running a business out of the house.
Yeah.
So the question is, I think what Keith is saying is that we want to take your feedback. There may be some room for modification, but I assure you that there will always be a requirement for a permit. And there'll be some timeframes associated with that. Unfortunately, there are some contractors out there that are not reputable. Okay, and they'll skirt the issue, they'll break the rules, they'll do whatever. And unfortunately, good contractors, which by the way, word of mouth is the best advertisement, as you know.
Sure.
And so we have to deal with the 5%, I always say, that caused 95% of the problem. And so that's why we have a code.
So how do we change the code, I guess, because I can tell you at least 200 clients right now that would vouch for me and want the yard sign.
Well, I'm sure they'll vouch for your services,
and
but
vouch
but
for the
we've
yard
heard,
sign.
we've heard so much about yard signs over the, and listen, we're so in tune.
Fair.
The thing about township trustees, and I represent all 17 townships across the county. The good thing about the townships, they're attuned to what their neighbors say because they are our neighbors, first of all. We see them all the time. We hear the complaints all the time. We know exactly what people are talking about and thinking about. So I know what you're saying, but I also know what we're hearing. So,
Yeah,
and there lies that issue of how do we somewhat give a little bit of flexibility
Sure.
to what you're concerned. I guarantee you're not gonna get a situation where we no longer require a permit. I guarantee you, our code is not gonna change so that it's forever. Just whenever you wanna put a sign up, put a sign up. That's not gonna happen. So, I appreciate your comments. We always take those comments into effect. Andy's the zoning liaison. I'm sure he'll work with. you.
Yeah, I would say that if you have homeowners, I mean, we want to hear from them. So if they want to just shoot us a note, like through the website and just say, hey, I had so-and-so work on, our property, I wouldn't mind, we haven't gotten any, at least I don't think we've gotten any kind of feedback of like, why, I had a sign removed. I really would like it up. I mean, if we started seeing that kind of stuff. But like Chet said, I don't think that we're gonna change our code to the point of it just being a free for all, because that's where we
Yeah.
just came from.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we'll take your comments into account, kind of say, is there an opportunity for us to, tweak it a little bit? But it won't be an overhaul.
Sure.
Yeah.
And just so you know, if I'm aware that the homeowner is home, if there's evidence that somebody's at the house, I will knock on the door when I take the sign and say, just so you know, in the future, that the contractor is required to have a permit prior to putting a sign in your yard. So any further, contractors you have that want to do this, you need to know that you have to have a permit. So I talk with the homeowners myself. Not one time have they come back at me and say, well, that's just not fair.
Well, I had a customer even, I didn't get your name, and she even wrote into you guys, but she was pissed that you came on your property and took the yard sign.
Well, that's a different issue. Coming onto their property, you have to understand is a responsibility that I have as a zoning officer.
It's kind of,
It's
kind of disrespectful if I'm a homeowner, I don't want anyone coming on my property, and I definitely don't want them coming on my property and taking something that I approved to put on my, it's not like we're talking about rusty cars sitting in a lawn. I get that. But a yard sign that's up for 5 days, I mean, come on, guys.
Where do you normally put the yard?
It's right in the middle of the front yard.
In the right, how far from the road? Normally.
I don't know, usually in the center of the yard somewhere.
In the center of the-
20 feet.
The problem is like when you're only there for half a day, True Green is probably has hundreds and hundreds of yards of windows. They're only there.
Yeah.
What we don't want to see is True Green putting a sign out.
But do you see it in the rest of the hills? I don't, because I do a ton of work in it. I don't see a ton of yard signs in Columbus
But
or,
I see a ton of your signs.
yeah, they do a lot of work.
So your signs are, the signs that you're allowed to put up are working.
But my point is, you're talking about too many signs, but Columbus doesn't have that problem, and they don't have this permanent thing going on either,
So
so.
look at Dublin does with signs. Look what Dublin does with signs.
They do, I haven't had any issues with that.
You can't put any signs
I've
up.
never had that sign taken or anything.
Have you done any work in your
We have
field?
zero tolerance to double.
My sister lives in, you can't put real estate signs have to be a certain color. You can't, you gotta have your garage door closed. You can't like wash your car at certain times. I mean, it's crazy all the things. Just because people want, in that neighborhood want it. We get feedback all the time that, why they just don't want, a bunch of advertising.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm asking just for like, 5 days or, just till Sunday, if there's, I mean, I wouldn't even mind filling out, something for a permit. So like you said, maybe there's some way we can meet in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a way for us to kind of take your comments and look at it, and there might be, we might be able to take it, but like, it's not gonna be a wholesale,
But when you're out there working for somebody for a day, why don't you put out the sign while you're working that day, and when you're done, take it out?
I do, but I mean, people come home from work late or they see it the next day. It's beneficial to have it up for more than one day. You get a lot more, eyeballs on it.
Yeah, but see, that's the kind of problem we deal with. If all the work's being done and you're not there, you can leave it up as long as you want. And that's kind of what it started turning into. That's why we had to tweak this thing to basically put a cap on it overall and to while you're working it.
Yeah, I guess I'm coming back with feedback from my clients directly, and I'm happy to have them get in touch with you. But the feedback I'm getting from them is they want to allow my yard in their yard. I mean, the last one was in the hills in Markland, I think. They were really pissed that they came on their property when they weren't there and took the yard sign. That they came on their property, number one, and then they took something out of their yard, regardless of what the situation was. They came on their property and they were really pissed about it. And anyone I talked to was blown away that the zoning had the authority to go on their property and take something out of their yard. They're offended, but I'm just giving you feedback from my clients.
Appreciate that. We'd actually like to hear directly from them.
Yeah, no problem.
So a lot of people have my cell number, and I've gotten zero number of calls.
Okay, you'll be getting
Zero.
So how do they get in touch with you guys? Like,
You come to a meeting.
Come to a meeting, email. you
I
got it.
provided you with my email address.
Can you give it again? All right.
Yep, it's BBEATTY@perrytwp.org.
So just send an email about
They
it.
can just send an email straight to me.
Okay, I mean, I hear you guys' perspective.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on, I'm gonna skip here. We have a guest speaker here for, regarding our employee benefits.
Thank you for saying that, by the way.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
my name is Justin Feltner. I'm with McGowan Braid Under. Ali Michael Hopper with McGowan Braid Under as well. Nice to meet you, Joel.
Thank you.
We've been meeting, we've had about 2 or 3 different meetings, and this is in regards to employee benefits. Just trying to see what other kind of options might be out there, specifically looking for ways to save some costs for the township and for its staff members as well. So I asked them if they come here and give a brief presentation on their product and kind of how they operate. You're welcome.
We'll be brief, and I'm sure you guys have other items on the list today to take care of. But just wanted to give, we'll focus mostly on this piece right here. Just a brief presentation. We'll give a quick overview of who we are, how we got to this conversation. Beth was gracious enough to share some information with us on the current situation, and we put together kind of a narrative analysis. That's the blue piece that you see. We won't go through that in detail tonight, but that's a great takeaway to be able to review just kind of our analysis and observations on the current program. We'll also talk through opportunities that we see that could be available to you all out there. And then what next steps would look like if, whether it's now or off into the future, if you all were to consider a partnership with our organization, what that could look like. So first and foremost, from kind of how we fit into the overall picture perspective, that slide on page 3, you see Perry Township, the insurance companies out there that you may work with today, and then us as a broker. You can insert any broker at any time, in most cases without much impact. Same with carriers, broker can change carriers at any time without much impact too. So that's always good to just set the stage with. But as far as who we are, there on page 5, it says McGowan Break Under Overview, looks like this. It's just a quick snapshot of our organization, been around since 1972, served Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, Indianapolis, Northern Kentucky and Cleveland markets. We're located in our Columbus office here in that Metro Place loop over there in the Dublin area. I work with Violet Township is a client of mine. One of my colleagues in our office work with Orange Township, and we work with lots of different public entities across the state. But we've been recognized over the past 5 years as the best business employee benefits firm in the region by Columbus CEO Magazine. So mention all that just to say, you know, we're a notable name in the area that is an option for you all out there to work with. So you flip the page there, that gives, I referenced a little bit of our public entity experience briefly, but that gives a better snapshot of all the organizations we work with across the state in the public entity space. If you're ever interested or get to the point of considering a decision and you want to talk to any of those folks at any of those organizations, we're happy to provide contact information, although I'm sure you may have contacts at some of those companies or organizations already. So. From a team perspective, I'm a senior consultant. My name is Justin Feltner. I guess I probably should have led off with that. Just kind of dove right in, but I've been with the organization for 8 years now. First 2 were actually interning my last 2 years of college, and then for the past 6 years, I've been in the consultant role with the Otterbein down the road, and just stayed up here ever since. So focus on really helping organizations understand the options that are out there in the market from a benefits perspective, specifically healthcare, because it happens to usually be the largest line item. And just bridge the gap of the education that's necessary in order to do something different if it makes sense for that specific organization to do something different with their health insurance. So, and Mike, I'll let you introduce yourself too.
My name's Mike Hopper. I've been with McGowan for a year. I've worked in the safety industry as a consultant prior to coming here, but just kind of got my feet wet here in the insurance business. But I'm kind of the guy in the background at the moment doing all the legwork for analysis and stuff.
No, but if we were to ever work together, a member of our team would join that specializes in employers of your size and would join Mike and I on the team. We never leave the relationship as salespeople, kind of unique. We get compensated the same on new business as we do on clients that we've worked with for many, many years. So our incentives are aligned to, stay involved with the relationship and not leave once, if we were fortunate enough to work together, not just leave right after that. So any high level questions about any of that before we go over some of the observations and benchmarking that we saw with regards to your information specifically? Okay. One face that I wanted to highlight before I flip on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can I have you quick?
Yeah.
So, you're broken.
Correct. Yes.
So do you consider part of your job to be an advocate for employees when, for instance, they do not, when the insurance company comes back and says, your doctor wants you to be on this medication, but the insurance company said no. What role do you play in advocacy for employees?
You stole words right out of my mouth. The one face I was gonna highlight on this page is Kim Snyder's face. She's a leader of our advocacy team. So we've got a team within our organization, about 10 to 12 folks, that all they do on a day-to-day basis is field calls from the employees of our clients when they have those types of issues, prescription questions, prior authorization questions, insurance companies telling me I don't need to be on this medication, but my doctor's saying I do. I need help. That's all that team does on a day-to-day basis. So what they'll do is if your employee calls or emails, they'll get assigned to a person and that person would take them through that entire process from start to finish. So you ever called an insurance company before? Typically you're getting bounced around, transferred person to person, not a one experience typically. So once an employee gets a person, they stay with that person through the duration of their issue. And that person is able to communicate with the insurance companies, with the doctors, with the hospitals and providers on behalf of that employee. So taking all.
Actually, this person,
Yeah,
Kim Snyder, actually has a conversation with the doctor and the patient. And
Correct.
the insurance company.
correct. Yes. So they're taking that legwork off your employees. You
So it
know,
isn't like, she calls the insurance company, and the insurance company says, yep, you're right. No, they're not. And the answer back to you is no.
Fair, fair. So that I can't say that every time an employee calls our team that they're gonna get the answer they want. You know,
Right.
But I will say that our team is not employed by the insurance companies. We're hired and fired by our clients every day. And we work for the township or any
But
employee.
what you say is you go the extra step of actually
Correct.
talking with the doctor and with the patient. and
Yeah.
that. Okay.
So a good case study, which we didn't include in here, but obviously it's an extreme example. But we had an employee of a client of ours who had a brain aneurysm and they needed to be life flighted from where they were to another hospital. And if you know anything about air ambulances, a lot of times they end up being out of network claims. So out of network means employee might get stuck with a balance bill in that type of situation. And then what happened was the employee got a $40,000 bill at home for that air ambulance. They called their advocate team, took 10 months to resolve, 140 phone calls, 80 or so emails, if I remember correctly. And what the end result was the insurance company wouldn't cover it, but we were able to get the hospital to write off the $40,000 air ambulance as bad debt. So that we perceived as a win and took a lot of time. You know, those types of things, some of them, they're not resolved quick. Most are probably pretty quick. That's an extreme example, like I say, but those things do happen. So it's important to have advocates, and our healthcare system, unfortunately, it's very complex and hard to understand even for the smartest of us in the world. And, you know, having somebody who that's all they do on a day-to-day basis is super important and imperative. So. Great question.
Come up with one every once in a while.
It's the most exciting part about any presentation we do is people.
How are you doing on time? So that- 5 more minutes?
Okay.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. So we'll be brief on the observations and benchmarking, but what we did is we took in the information that was provided to us, and we just basically said, here's what we see, here's some potential opportunities, here's maybe what we would bring to the table, but overall, I mean, I feel like you guys are in a really good spot from a benefits perspective. Things aren't, you know, in a terrible place at all, but that doesn't mean there's not opportunities to make things better. So, we flipped the slide 10 here. We did a demographic overview just of your entire population as compared to our entire book of business that we're able to get claims data for. So mostly larger employers, but that's a statistically credible amount of information that we can apply that to employers that don't get that data. So of the 81 members that you have enrolled on the plan, that's not employees, that's total members, so employees and dependents and family members. You've got 4 approaching 65 and 3 over 65. You know, sometimes there's no other option that's better for a person out there than the employer plan, but education on other options that exist like Medicare is something we would bring to the table. We've got an independent team we work with that's a sister company of ours that just provides that education to our to the employees of our clients so that they're prepared to make that jump to Medicare if and when the time is right. So, from a benchmarking perspective, there's a SERB data out there, state employee, I forget the. Yeah,
Thank you.
boom, thank you. So the SERB benchmarking data, we were able to pull that and compare your information to other townships and other public entities across the state, both with your health reimbursement arrangement and without it. Of course, without the health reimbursement arrangement, your deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses, exactly in line with the benchmarks, but with the HRA, which is the important piece, you guys are right in line with other public entities and really actually beating them out. So that's a good thing to know from your perspective, which might be something you already know. But hopefully that reaffirms that. On page 12, we highlighted the per paycheck deductions compared to the whole state, all townships across the state, and then townships of different sizes. So just data to be able to reference, but not far off from that perspective at all either. And then from a contribution perspective, how are your contributions compared to others? So all data that's good there for you all to be able to reference. But if we flip to the analysis and opportunities, as we close, three big opportunities that we saw are retirement, which we talked about a little bit, being able to educate those as they approach that age 65 so that they feel comfortable with their options with regards to Medicare and other things. Population health management, so wellness programming, things you're already doing today, great from a wellness perspective. Just maybe opportunity to simplify some things a little bit and make it a little bit easier to understand for your membership. And then where I get most passionate, of course, is the alternative funding options that exist out there. So, today you're fully insured, for lack of a better way to put it. You're in a MEWA, which is good. You have some group purchasing in that respect. But if your claims perform better than expected, there's not really opportunity to get dollars back. There's some costs and insurance carrier profit margin in that. And also although you're banded together with lots of other employers across the state, they could be in different industries across a lot of different types of organizations. So there could be opportunities to band together with other public entities as well. You're right there fringing on the line from an employee enrollment count perspective, where some of those things start to become options. Today, like this renewal, I wouldn't be able to stand here and tell you that, like, there'd be different options out there that would be available. But you're right there on the line where we might be able to get you into some other public entity consortiums. At 25 is kind of the threshold where some of that starts to make sense. And I know you all are right there, but really 50, and I know that's far off, but 25 is where we can start to have those conversations at least. So, from a next steps perspective, and this will be the last slide we'll cover. We're standing here today on August 5th. Okay, this is slide 19 timeline. If you all were to consider making a change, you'd be put in the best position to make that change by August 15th. Would put you in a really good position. You could really wait until mid-September and still be okay, but it starts to crunch the timeline leading up to January 1st. So just keep that in mind. We request census information typically in mid to late August to be able to start that go-to-market process, have a pre-renewal planning meeting toward the end of August, be able to start that lovely form fire process that I'm sure everybody loves so much at the beginning of August. And the one thing that don't necessarily know if we want to belabor it today, but your HRA, your health reimbursement arrangement right now is administered by your current broker and owned by your current broker. So if you were to make a move, we would want to be very cognizant about how we made that transition to make sure it goes smoothly. And we've got a plan to do that, but it's not just as easy of a change as some changes that we come across, because you're able to, like I said, our clients hire and fire us every day. You have the authority to hire and fire your broker relationship every day based on what you're provided. But because your HRA is tied up with that broker, we want to make sure that we have a new HRA set up and ready to rock and roll. Take about a month to implement, but that way there's only a month of downtime with your employees not having an HRA debit card in their hands. So just a consideration, because if I was in your shoes, I would want to make sure I really understood what that process would look like. And really, it's just a matter of getting a download of all the data. Let's say through 8/31 from the current TPA, taking that, loading that into the new system. Getting cards sent out to your employees, and then it operates just like normal from there, so.
There's a lot of information to the.
In a very short amount of intention of you guys walking away from this today with you guys feeling like you're armed enough to make a decision.
Right.
The intention was sheerly to, start the conversation as you review the information. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions, and we're happy to come back to a future meeting and answer any questions if that's necessary.
Do you have
So,
a business card?
I should.
I haven't.
Great question. Ever since,
I always walk out the door without one.
ever since this COVID thing.
Well,
it's become
thank you.
less and
You're
less.
welcome, sir.
Talk to you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman. Can we get Deputy Bailey? He said a couple quick things, so we can get.
Yeah,
sure.
Thank you, sorry.
Well,
Sorry. You're.
I was perfectly content, but thank you.
I did well.
Real quick, my name is Detective Dan Pham with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. The reason for being here tonight, my newest assignment is with the Environmental Crimes Task Force. What that means is basically spreading awareness around Franklin County in all the unincorporated areas. Basically, giving the resource to the townships, mainly to the office staff and to the officers working the road, that when complaints get filed, illegal dumping or a tire on the side of the road, a resource rather than calling the road department immediately and not letting us investigate it. Tonight, I am prepared to leave behind some business cards with the website to refer your citizens to, along with pamphlets about information as to what to do on the website, how to get us as much information as it possibly can to help me investigate these complaints. With that, I'll yield to any questions.
Are you the only one in the unit?
I am, well, for the sheriff's office. This is also in conjunction with the prosecutor's office, the Board of Health,
Right,
and City of Columbus.
okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a bit much, one guy for the entire county.
It is. It is.
You want, I can take those.
Okay, perfect.
Make sure these get shared. okay?
Thank you so much.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You need anything there?
Cool, thank you.
Next on the agenda is the public hearing. Beth, you want to transition us into that?
We need to do a public hearing for PWC.
Oh, and actually, it's just part of our agenda, so Ryan, would you like to do the?
Let's talk about the 2025 public improvements plan. We've partnered with Franklin County Engineers for an OPWC grant. Next year, I'm hoping to rehabilitate Candlewood Drive, Candlewood Lane, Beach Lake, Mark Haven, and Markland Street. The existing infrastructure, the curbs have been failing at the joints. It's beyond patch repairs. I'm looking to have all the curbs replaced, milled and paved. It is a rather large project. So we partnered with Franklin County to do the OPWC grant and looking for grants and loan options. I was hoping Ronnie could kind of explain the loan options and the application process.
Yes, my name is Ronnie Nims. I'm the Planning and Funding Coordinator at the Franklin County Engineers Office. One of my primary responsibilities is writing grants, and since the Franklin County Engineer is the engineer for the townships, I work with townships on making applications to the Ohio Public Works Commission, or OPWC. This August 30th, there is a deadline for both State Capital Improvement Program, which is funded by bonds statewide, and the Local Transportation Improvement Program, which is funded by a 1 cent tax on every gallon of gas in the state. So thank you if you bought a gallon of gas. And these are both statewide programs, but we're just competing within Franklin County. And right now Franklin County, I believe, has just over $30 million to hand out. It is a competitive process. There's, people from City of Columbus who are going to be, submitting applications, City of Canal Winchester, other townships, the Franklin County Engineers Office. But, it's a good program, and, it does offer, as Ryan said, both grant and loan. The loan is 0% interest, which is not something you'll find many places nowadays. And you can repay those either up to 30 years for the life of the project. You can't repay the loan past the estimated useful life of the project, or you can keep it, as short as 2 or 3 years. Some townships, that I've worked with in the past have really liked having that ability to say, we will take a loan, because the thing about the loan is that it gives you extra points on the grant application, but they pay it off very quickly. This is a very mathematical grant, funding application. Some might be more, you're writing an essay, like you really need to persuade someone. This one is very, cut and dry. They want to know how many cars drive on the street, how long it's been since it's been resurfaced, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'd be very happy to answer any questions you have, but I'm working on this application for these 5 streets, and, as I said, it's a competitive process, so I don't know that it's a shoe-in, but I think it is a competitive application.
Are we limited by materials that we really like fiber mat at the road? Are we limited by the span of how we currently do our roads, that we can only use certain materials, things like
They
that?
don't get into it.
They,
Okay.
It's
I
all,
don't want to say they don't care, but,
it's all about the unit,
they have not specified.
Okay,
you know.
all right. Okay.
Ronnie, you do a great job.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Bird and cats. Who do I have on OPWC board? Is it, Joe Martin and Jewel?
I believe, yes.
Who's chairing it now? You know,
Oh, that's a good question.
yeah, that's a good question. So, okay, when did they first meet?
They're going to be meeting in October. I know they're gonna be meeting in October because they're going to give, presentations on the grants that were
Right.
submitted, so I have that on my mind.
Okay,
I don't know if they're gonna meet in September,
okay,
but they'll definitely be meeting by October.
These are like once a year grants.
These are once a year. If awarded, these projects would be funded, would have to go to construction between July 1st, 2025 and June 30th, 2026.
just to give a reference point, the last time we used this money was for the culvert?
They culvert.
Culvert over Brookside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super helpful.
it's a good program.
Yeah.
We don't ask a lot. I mean, we don't ask
No,
often, is what I'm saying, which
Actually, that's,
is more points, by the way.
it is more.
So more
points.
points, so, yeah, so we ask when we need it.
I just want to say Ronnie's been working with Ian and I for on and off for a while now, and you've been great. I can't,
Yeah, thank you.
I don't
Thank you.
think we would get it done without you, so we really appreciate all your help, your input.
She did all the work on the Safe Routes to School grant for the sidewalks that are getting installed next year.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. That one.
Is there, what do we need to do in this public meeting, anything?
Are residents allowed to comment?
We're gonna,
Resident,
oh, yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
first of all, because we want to talk about the court, but go ahead. How do you want, I'm not sure. Mr. Chairman.
Well, I was gonna. However you guys want to chime in on this, it's fine. Well, she's here if that helps.
I just have a brief statement I'd like to make. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. My name is Ann Woods, and I'm representing the 3 houses that are on Mark Haven Court. I just provided, Ian with, photographs of the quality of road in the court and also the curb structure. And the other 2 residents of the court can't be with us tonight, so you've got me. I will say this in context. So the court was built as part of the street 36 years ago. And not addressing this, Chet, would be like if we just stopped the road right in front of your house and said, well, we think you're okay. So therefore, this side of fairway, that side of fairway, but you, I think it's the entire look of the neighborhood for the time that it was developed. Half the court looks pretty good. There was some significant damage and concrete slabs were put in. It's the other half of the court that is very rough. And this court kind of serves as the play place, the meeting place for the 30 or so houses that are on the neighborhood. So the request is to have the whole thing treated as a whole and the other half of the court addressed. That's, I guess, the first point. And then the second point has to do with a particular individual who lives in our neighborhood. And he's a long-term resident, he's a veteran. Unfortunately, he was in a terrible accident and it left him almost as a quadriplegic. Has a battery assist wheelchair. He has made improvements to his house, including a walkway so he can get around the house down his driveway so he can be outside with the rest of the neighbors. However, there's a big problem. Unlike the rest of the streets where there's a cut-in that comes at the end of a driveway so that the driveway and the street meet, we have an actual hump that's a curve all the way around the court. And so Max can't get over this curve with his wheelchair. And this is what he has to do. And this is really pathetic. He takes his wheelchair, battery assisted with his one good arm, and he goes across the neighbor's yard on the grass so that he can reach their driveway so that he can wheel down and get on a flat surface. Now, I don't know where the township has to be in terms of ADA compliance or if that's simply a goal that we should strive for, but Worthington Hills is a great place to live. And it should be a great place to live for our members that are struggling the most. So I'm really here also for Max. His wife filled out a form. She was planning on coming, but Max has experienced like blood pressure, like 40 over something. He's also in a decline, which is all the more reason to get him out in the neighborhood and let him enjoy who we are.
Can you hold that one thought?
Yeah.
What is in Max's driveway?
Malibu curb.
A mountable curb.
Is that just that?
Roll, it's a Malibu
It's a
curb.
roll. And why did we put that in?
It was put there when the whole road was developed by the developer.
Okay,
And I don't know, did they do it just to cost cut on money instead of having?
I don't know what the developer did.
I don't know, that's the same.
We've been there, we were the first ones in.
Yeah, we were the first.
And it was there
resident on the
then.
street,
It was
and
there
it's
then.
there then. It's always been there.
Okay, first things first. You and I need to go up and look at that. I've walked that and I still don't. I must have just not paid attention.
Well,
So,
for you and I, we wouldn't even see it as an obstacle
but
to.
for him, it would.
He can't do it, he'll tip out. He'll tip out of the.
He can't go off the curb,
Okay.
and certainly he can't go up the curb. It's just a regular curb. You know, it is just a regular curb. But his world is much different than ours.
I got it. What are you doing Wednesday morning? Early Wednesday morning.
You're coming to my house.
Let's go good. I need to see it. You and I need to talk about it.
Do
To
we?
me, that is way more important. I mean, both are important, don't get me wrong. One is more important than the other. One has to be addressed before the other one. So, first of all, let's go take a look at it. And you and I have a conversation about what the options may be available. I trust your expert opinion on what can and cannot be done, but.
Yeah, I think we can address the issue, grant or something.
Okay.
This just depends on.
I don't even be the whole driveway. He
Just-
needs enough to get his wheelchair
I understand,
and up.
and I understand. And then we can talk about the other thing, because I know we just touched on it, and I apologize that I didn't.
To support, you know.
Understand.
Okay, thank you.
Wednesday morning.
I finally can see it on MapQuest, which it took me a while, but, yeah, so I mean, every location just has the normal curb and gutter, like 90-degree cut, and then this has sort of that.
It just has like a regular, like, pump curve that goes all the way around.
It's a concrete cul-de-sac
Right.
with that.
Is that on yours?
It's just marked.
Yeah, it's on,
all of them.
it's on all three houses. There's.
Well, it's also on like Northmore and those kind of streets too, right?
Just on Mark Haven Court, then you go back into
On
Blackstone.
Blackstone, that's right.
Blackstone.
Blackstone has
All of
that.
those streets around.
So is that made to maintain the flow of water?
Yeah,
It's the-
it-
well, yeah.
So, okay,
But I guess just till now, I never realized a wheelchair couldn't go through that.
I mean, if someone had less injuries, perhaps,
Perhaps.
but he would fall out, the
Exactly.
risk of falling out
Exactly.
is too high,
Right.
you can't do it. You can't do it.
Right.
okay,
The other cul-de-sacs don't have this curve, there's three
It's
cul-de-sacs
flat.
along
right.
Mark
It's
Haven.
totally flat.
well, what you guys have at each one of your driveway, they have out along the street. So once you pass over that, it becomes flat, like their cul-de-sac is flat.
Flat,
The driveways,
completely flat.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a unique situation, but I'm with you, and I think it just needs to be a part that Max can get where it needs to go.
Yeah, okay, well,
Okay,
I
Thank
thank
you.
you for that. Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
and then we'll get on to the second thing.
Thank
So,
you.
okay,
All right.
It would be nice to do the whole street when you do the street, right, not have to wait another 2 decades. Next year.
Yeah.
And I know you repaired it.
It's on too. You said 30. Yeah.
now let's make sure. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Right, it's just a normal curb and gutter.
Yes, Ronnie needs you to, yeah,
That once you've mounted over that, then.
Right.
okay.
Thank you very much.
What time do you? 7,
What's that?
7:30?
6:30.
6:30? Oh my God. Oh, that's right, you're on
You'll
somewhere
just meet you up there, so.
7 o'clock. I'll meet you there at 7.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And if anyone has any questions, I think Ian and Beth probably both know how to get a hold of me. Happy to answer any questions.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is perfect segue into road department.
Old business, the salt bar. I don't know if you noticed tonight when you pulled in, the salt bar and storage sheds are gone. It's all been demoed back there. The drawings were supposed to be in Friday. But the supplier vendor, Winkler, they called, said they needed another week.
Residential.
Plans are supposed to be in this Friday, for that.
So
Once
when
they
the
have,
plans
like,
come in, you're going to Dublin.
they'll go straight to Dublin, yeah. This is what their plans, as long as everything is good on the plans. Yeah, they'll get turned into Dublin.
Okay.
It looks so strange back there. It was like all in wide open space and.
Was one issue I saw with the dumpster pad. It's measured at a 15 by 10 dumpster pad on the drawings. When I measured our two dumpsters, they will be about 4 inches too wide. So I've asked Easy Done to kind of look at how they can expand that.
That's odd. Those are normal size 8 cubic yards,
It's 7,
aren't they?
yeah, you got the forks holes on the outside.
Yeah.
One is, I think, 8 foot, and the other one is 7 foot 4 inches.
So is it the base is the right size? Are you saying it's,
The structure side.
okay,
We have to widen it to fit.
You're gonna widen it, you don't wanna make it just wide enough though, so it's, you know, like,
I've asked them to look at least 3 feet, just, yes, because we'll have to get in and
Right.
shut lids and,
Otherwise it could,
um,
thank you.
then, I submitted a grant to the Ohio River chloride reduction. The EPA, we were awarded $12,971 to purchase pre-wetting systems for our 3 trucks.
Did you say
For 3 wetting. Wetting, yeah. Pre-wetting.
for the brine.
Right, to pre-wet the salt on the trucks.
We're not all bad down there.
No.
The EPA is good for something.
Does that really help?
For salt placement, yes.
Does it?
With the way we salt, I mean, we're kind of like zero tolerance, so when we're out there, you know, the first flakes, there's a lot of scatter, pre-wetting, it'll keep it where we're trying to place it. I think it's gonna help a lot with new curbs, with the concrete work. The scatter gets on the concrete in that first year, it causes,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, crap.
That's all I have.
Oh, and also we just turned in a $1,500 grant request to the Tardius water barriers and such too, so that should be a shoe-in.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all I have.
Zoning,
In Brookside Cottages, we got, to Matt Brown at Franklin County Engineer's Office, the, final documents he needed to formalize the township's approval of the, development plan for Brookside Cottages. So everybody is now on board, as far as we are concerned, with Brookside Cottages. Riverside Drive, no changes there. The weeds are continuing to grow. We'll have to look at it again in a few weeks and see if we have to have approval back out a second time. No contact from the homeowner on that whatsoever. There was a question as to whether there was a appeal for the Henderson Road project filed by the owner of the Mr. Becker. And there was no appeals filed by a civic association or anyone else. But for some reason, there was a rumor that there had been an appeal filed. There was nothing to appeal.
Why would he?
There was nothing. to
Or
appeal.
wasn't he up here?
Right, and so I checked with the developer and let Mr. Becker know that there was no appeals.
He didn't, he was sent to Civic Association, Northwestern.
Oh, that he thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
He thought that the Civic Association had filed an appeal. Correct. Yeah. Good there. No new business at this point.
The signs.
Yeah.
well,
I wanted
Can I show you
What's
guys
the next step?
real quick?
you know, on like on Clayton Services,
Yeah.
we just can't have people that do like 1-day projects, leave signs out for a week and they put them out for all the places they're gonna do for a week. The other thing is, wasn't that long ago, they were kind of pissy about it. They were doing something on Highview, and I think they were doing a patio or something. They dumped all their stuff on the street. They dumped all their stuff on the street. You know, it was,
Just wanted to get an idea.
pads of bricks and it was gravel and it was two
Yes.
kinds of gravel
Yes.
and it was sand. And, you know, it was unbelievable.
That's who it was.
Yeah,
Where at?
Highview.
Highview.
Well, and his signs are typically in the right of way, almost always.
Well,
They are
Well,
there,
that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Where are you putting the signs?
they are there for more than a week.
But he has lots of signs in Vales and he gets lots of business in Vales. He just wants more and more and more. And I just, I just don't think there's people clamoring, I want Clayton signs in my yard.
Right.
I don't know, Andy said it the other day, I heard him say. You wanted to claim something.
But seriously, I mean, you know, that's the easiest thing in the world, is if you're gonna do a project for one day, put your sign out for a day when you get there, take your sign with you when you go home. Who's gonna complain about that? It's just when you leave it there for a week, and then I just don't wanna open this door where, okay, well, True Green does these, 20% of the lawns, I bet you get some kind of lawn service. Be willing to bet, and they're gonna put a sign in, once a week, or somebody else, gets it for whatever. I mean,
We're not, I mean, at the end of the day, we're not hearing any, I mean, outside of him who's it's a self-serving.
I did get a call, he mentioned Markland, I did get a call from, I don't even think it was his sign, but I pulled somebody's sign off of Markland. Turned out to be somebody who serves on one of our committees, and I explained to them, this is a process, you have to get a permit, and if you don't have a permit, then the sign is pulled. And if you want to get a permit, you put your sign back once you get a permit. So I had one call from a resident that was upset that I pulled the sign. And it wasn't even his sign.
And if this becomes an issue, we'll just have Luke send something out, saying, just FYI.
I mean, a
So,
lot of it's education, but we're not getting, I mean, there isn't this clamoring. There was on the other side, which is the reason why we changed the zoning code, but we're not getting the clamoring for, hey, we want our signs back.
We want more signs.
Yeah, right.
So
It's sort of a,
you guys started hearing from
sure, yeah,
residents, let me know.
Yeah.
So, if I see it on a Monday, I let it go. If I see it on the same sign on a Friday, I pick it up. So it's not like I'm picking up every sign as soon as it's there.
Right.
I'm giving them a couple of days and then I'm picking it up. So. And I know they don't.
and they're sticking them at the bottom of the hill, and I realize that's out of our jurisdiction a lot, but yeah, it's. Or they're sticking them, in the green, in the grass. So-
those,
Like anything for sign.
I used to take them out as a civic association.
yeah,
Do what you did.
I did the same.
I put them in that behind
I
the
did the same.
thing and just, and
All right,
I don't think it's an issue.
I don't.
moving on, fire and EMS,
Nothing reported this.
police.
On the old business body worn camera, cloud server and grant, we haven't heard anything back. It still says submitted. However, we did meet with the OCGS state liaison I did last week, and if things don't work out with this grant, we said we can apply. The grant we applied for through the feds. This gentleman, who's the central liaison, said if it doesn't work out, give him a call and he will try to help us find another.
So when should we know?
That I don't know. It's a federal grant, so I'm not sure when we'll find
Oh,
out.
they're a pass through. Public safety is a pass through?
No, it's two different grants. The public safety does state grant. The server that we applied for, the grant we applied for is the jack.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So he said, if we don't get it, let him know. He'll see what he can do on the state side. Let's see, Dollar Evangeline this Saturday, I think it is.
I just want to go on record that I feel like back 40 has been hijacked. Because
Did you trademark that?
we
name?
came up with that name when we did the Smurf float. And it was the way of kind of pagan, but it never went past newcomer. It was newcomer, Markland.
Yeah.
Somebody's like stolen our back 40 and it's now
Yeah,
like,
it's now the back 40 party.
I don't know how I feel about that. I like it because they changed the name and now it's like this thing where it's the back 40, or am I take offense to
If
it?
we did
because-
a circle around your house, did 40 acres. It's a big area, would they be in that area?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was always
Yes, they
always
would.
Fairway no, I'm telling you, that's how we termed ourselves because we
That's
weren't
true.
a street for the
Right.
foot. It was the first time a group had gotten together and it was a bunch of different streets, so we called ourselves the back
Back.
40.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at the trophy, well, no, the trophy. Yes.
But-
Anyway,
Does your LLC,
but I'm happy. I'm at, like, it, I should have trademarked it.
Next,
Gosh.
that's coming up on
Yeah.
Saturday. And
Should I picket it? Should I pick it back?
you know, it'll be our first protest.
Yeah, it could be a first. I made protest.
just don't put a sign in anybody's yard, you can carry it.
I'll get a permit.
Let's see.
I'll
Is
get a
that,
permit.
that required a special? What's that, for a special?
For a test?
Block party, right? Yeah, we have.
Did Luke get it?
Oh, yeah, all right. And then on September 17th is the neighbors night out at EPCON, which we're all invited to attend. And last is not on here, just found out today, the DEA drug take back is going to be October 26th, and it'll be here again.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Madam Administrator.
I don't have anything new on the 161. Mount Carmel, I do have those documents for you to sign with a blue pen, and then I'm gonna drive them up and then tomorrow. I'll be done.
Okay.
Did you want to discuss the fence?
I'm still waiting on 2 quotes. I've had, 3 companies out here to work with our property, Superior Fence, Bowden Fence, Paul Peterson, and Easy Done said they would write an add-in to this project, the Salt Farm project, quoted. I haven't received that yet. I'm still waiting on Superior and Bowden. Paul Peterson has sent their update. We're right around 103,000 for 8-foot privacy chain link around the back and side property, and then an iron fence along the front with a slide gate, a 20-foot slide gate on that.
100,000?
Right around 103.
Been in the fence business.
But I'm still waiting on
Okay.
the other companies to.
And if you guys wanna look at what the fence looks like,
Yeah.
you know, that new data center that they just built on. Where they built the sheets at Campus View. The big
Oh,
data
yeah.
center. You go over there, that's what the fence.
Okay.
Which one did they have, the chain link or the?
No, they have that,
the-
the iron one.
Just saying.
The one I've had quoted is just the tickets.
It's near your office.
Would you say it's nice?
Oh, we spec that fence all the time. I mean, it's a really good fence. I mean, it's really good. It's top of the line.
We need a fence grant.
The said, did you?
I texted, when I called on Friday, I think it responds, I texted today. They sent an email to Eric asking, if the county was okay, and that's as far as I got. So, I'll just keep on.
Okay. Alrighty, you had asked me to look into 360 performance reviews, so I've reached out to my HR group as well as all the administrators, and I've had 4 or 5 people send back templates for me to kind of, so I've got to kind of read through those, and I'll trying to kind of go through them and see what might fit. The public meetings, I think y'all saw, I got an invite for Brookside. Got the approval from the school for the police levy. The traffic, I mean, Michelle is in my home state right now, enjoying herself. Eating lobsters, and clams. So, I'll have to ask her about the traffic calming when she gets back for a meeting for that. If I don't hear back from the school on the Worthington Hills request, I'll call them later this week, just so we can get this on now.
Okay.
The auditor state fraud training, everybody got an email that's due on the 1st, and everybody has to do it as part of our outreach. So,
Can I do it for me?
Can Mary do it for me?
you could ask. You have to go back to the police department.
Okay, how long is it?
It was easy. I did it first, just so I could on.
It's an hour.
No, all you have to do is watch the 8-minute video.
Okay.
I had a sandwich and a Coke, and it was over. And
Right,
then
question.
you
Yeah,
just print out your cert.
but pay attention because the test afterwards, if you fail, you gotta watch it again.
There is no test.
You gotta watch the 16-minute video.
But I did the no before you, just to prove Luke wrong, that I wouldn't forget.
Yeah.
I aced it. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I was pretty proud of myself. It's in his phone now. Okay, so that is all I have. I am requesting very short succession. on a couple things.
Okay.
So,
Fiscal officer, do we need to just do those three motions?
yes, please.
I'll make them, I guess, then, since, our fiscal officer isn't here. Motion to approve the creation of a fund number 2919 for, the chlorine reduction grant.
Second.
You guys did do that.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Vote,
yes.
yes.
Abstain.
And then a motion to advance, $12,981 from the general fund to the newly created fund. Which will be reimbursed upon receipt of grant revenue. So I'll make that
Second,
vote,
yes.
yes.
Abstain, yeah.
And then motion for payroll improvements,
Make the motion.
Second.
vote,
Yes.
Yes.
and then I move that we go into executive session for, a roll call vote pursuant to RC 121.22 G1 to consider employee and or dismissal compensation of a public employee by roll call vote.
Ms. Draper,
Yes,
Mr. Engel.
Yes.
Mr. Chin.
Yes.
let's take a 2-minute break and we'll